Some people do not just feel emotions. They absorb the room before anyone says a word. They notice the pause in your voice, the look you tried to hide, and the sadness behind a normal sentence. This is the psychology of people who feel everything too deeply. From the outside, they may look calm. Inside, their nervous system is already reading everything. They are not dramatic. They are sensitive to details most people skip. A sigh can feel like rejection. A delayed reply can feel like danger. Their brain does not wait for proof. It starts preparing for pain. And this is why their inner world can feel louder than the real one. Usually, this sensitivity started as a survival skill. Maybe they learned to read faces before asking for comfort. Maybe they grew up around moods that changed without warning, so their body became a scanner. They learned that if they noticed the change early, maybe they could stay safe. This makes them thoughtful. It also makes them tired. Because feeling everything means carrying information all day. They enter a room and immediately sense who is tense, who is pretending, and who needs space. They can feel conflict before it is spoken. They can sense distance before someone admits they are pulling away. And they often confuse perception with responsibility. They think, if I can feel it, maybe I am supposed to fix it. That is how empathy turns into exhaustion. They comfort everyone, then wonder why they have nothing left. People may call them kind, wise, or easy to talk to, but nobody sees the weight they take home afterward. A deep feeler rarely leaves a conversation when it ends. They replay the tone, the timing, the small expression near the end. They ask themselves if they said too much. Then they ask if they said too little. Their mind builds courtrooms out of ordinary moments, and somehow they always put themselves on trial. This does not mean they are weak. It means their emotional volume is turned higher than most. They feel joy deeply too. A small act of kindness can stay with them for years. A song can unlock a memory they thought was gone. A quiet evening can feel like a whole universe returning to balance. But pain also enters through the same open door. They do not choose to be affected by everything. Their body reacts before their logic can explain. This is why advice like, just stop caring, never works. You cannot command a nervous system to become a stone. Deep feelers do not need to become numb. They need to learn where they end and other people begin. A boundary is not a wall. It is a line that says, I can care without disappearing. Without that line, empathy becomes self-abandonment. They may say yes because they can feel someone else's disappointment. They may apologize just to make the tension stop. They may stay quiet because honesty might hurt someone. And after a while, they lose track of their own needs. This is the hidden cost of being emotionally fluent. They understand what others feel, but may struggle to name what they feel. They can explain someone else's pain with precision, then freeze when asked, what about you? Because attention has been trained outward for so long. Their healing begins when they turn the telescope around. They start asking, what did that moment do to me? Not, how can I make everyone else comfortable? This shift can feel selfish at first, but it is actually the beginning of honesty. A deep feeler must learn that every emotion is information, not an instruction. Fear says, check the ground. Sadness says, something mattered. Anger says, a boundary may have been crossed. But none of these feelings should drive the whole car. The feeling can sit beside you. It does not have to steer. This is emotional maturity for sensitive people. Feeling fully, then choosing carefully. There is another pattern deep feelers know well. They often attract people who want to be understood, but not changed. People come to them with chaos. They leave feeling lighter, but the deep feeler is left holding the residue. This is why they need rituals of release. A walk where they do not solve anything. A quiet room where no one needs them. A notebook that receives the thoughts without becoming a courtroom. A breath that reminds the body, this is not an emergency. These tiny practices teach the nervous system a new language. The language of safety, the language of enough, the language of not mine to carry. At first, putting the weight down may feel wrong. They may feel guilty for resting. They may feel cold when they stop absorbing everyone. But space is not cruelty. Silence is not abandonment. Rest is not betrayal. For people who feel deeply, peace can feel unfamiliar before it feels safe. Their system may search for a problem simply because quiet feels strange. This is why healing is not one big realization. It is hundreds of small moments where they do not abandon themselves. They answer slowly instead of instantly pleasing. They say, I need time, even when guilt appears. They let someone be disappointed without rushing to rescue the room. They notice pain without turning it into a mission. And slowly, their empathy becomes cleaner. It becomes compassion without control, support without self-erasure, love without becoming someone else's nervous system. This is the gift deep feelers can bring to the world. They remind us that what is invisible still matters. They notice what has no words yet. They make space for feelings other people rush past. But their gift only stays alive when it includes themselves. If they only give, they disappear. If they only protect themselves, they harden. The path is softer than both extremes. Stay open, but not unguarded. Care deeply, but return home to yourself. Listen closely, but do not swallow every emotion in the room. This is how sensitivity becomes wisdom, not by becoming less sensitive, but by becoming more loyal to the life inside that sensitivity. So if you feel everything deeply, maybe nothing is wrong with you. Maybe your system learned to listen before it learned to rest. Maybe your work is not to become someone else. Maybe your work is to feel, choose, and come back to yourself. Because the world needs people who can feel. But those people need a place inside themselves where the world cannot take everything.